Things come together. That's why we'll help you find the right products and services so you can experience the value of togetherness. Call Verizon today to get just what you need. We can get exactly what we want.
Verizon. Robert Blake News, Baby Bob and Carol Burnett, XTT.
A CBS News exclusive. A captured al-Qaeda leader says the terror group now knows how to build a so-called dirty bomb. Is he lying or bragging? A terror tirade. An accused 9/11 conspirator tells the court he wants America destroyed and his lawyers fired. The Roman Catholic Church sex abuse scandal. America's cardinals are in Rome. Several reportedly want Boston's law to resign. And it's Bush-Gore round 2 on the environment.
This is the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather reporting from CBS News headquarters in New York.
Good evening. If there were any doubt terrorists are out to finish the job they began September 11th, the United States got 2 new reminders today. An accused 9/11 conspirator stood up in court and said he is praying for the destruction of America. More about that in a moment. But first, a CBS News exclusive about a captured al-Qaeda leader who says his fellow terrorists have the know-how to build a very dangerous weapon and get it to the United States. CBS's David Martin is breaking this story.
For months, U.S. troops have been searching Afghanistan for evidence about al-Qaeda's quest for weapons of mass destruction. Now, Abu Zubaydah, who until his capture was Osama bin Laden's chief of operations, has told interrogators al-Qaeda is attempting to build a so-called dirty or radiological bomb that would be used against the United States to spew radiation into the atmosphere. On Friday, the FBI issued a public warning to 1,200 banks based on a claim by Zubaydah that al-Qaeda is planning attacks on financial institutions in the Northeast. No warning was issued about a dirty bomb because Zubaydah did not say al-Qaeda is actually attempting to smuggle one into the U.S. But it is certainly possible. 7 years ago, Chechen rebels who have been linked to al-Qaeda buried a parcel of low-level radioactive material in a Moscow park just to prove it could be done.
U.S. officials don't know if Zubaydah is telling the truth or bragging or both. Although he was badly wounded and is now being subjected to hostile interrogation, one U.S. official says he is a very tough customer.
As are most of the other al-Qaeda terrorists now in U.S. custody, who officials say have been well trained in how to resist interrogation. An English translation of an al-Qaeda training manual says the brother should not disclose any information, no matter how insignificant he might think it is. His best hope, even under torture, the manual advises, lies in executing the security plan or cover story that was agreed upon prior to the operation and not deviating from it. Most of the prisoners held at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, seem to be going by the book. None of them has given up information that has allowed the U.S. to break up a terrorist cell or plot, and only 6 out of 300 have admitted to crimes which could be prosecuted by a military tribunal. David Martin, CBS News, the Pentagon.
Now the news about the so-called 20th hijacker. He's the only man charged so far in the September 11th attack on America. He was in federal court in Virginia today, lashing out at the United States and demanding that his court-appointed lawyers be fired. CBS's Jim Stewart reports on the courtroom surprise.
Accused terrorist Zacarias Moussaoui arrived this morning for what was to be a routine hearing on his confinement conditions, but wasted no time before turning it into courtroom drama and suggesting he may defend the events of September the 11th. No, he shouted, thrusting his finger in the air, these are not any more my lawyers, accusing his defense team of conspiring against him. All they need me for is to execute me. Moussaoui then asked for Muslim attorneys and told the courtroom, I pray for the destruction of the United States. Totally unflappable, U.S. District Judge Leona Brinkema let him have his say for nearly an hour, asking at one point, are you sure? Absolutely, said Moussaoui. I want a lawyer acquainted with Muslims, the Mujahideen, and what you call the terrorist theme. I'm ready to fight even with both hands behind my back. By the end of the day, the judge ordered Moussaoui examined by psychiatrists and did not fire his lawyers, but did leave open the possibility he could defend himself. Legal analysts concluded Moussaoui was looking for a soapbox and not a defense.
Somewhere along the line, Moussaoui has made a decision that he wants this to be more of a political trial than a legal one, that he doesn't really care what his fate is.
Faced with the death penalty for allegedly conspiring with the September the 11th hijackers and believed by prosecutors to be the missing pilot aboard a United Airlines flight that crashed in Pennsylvania, Moussaoui has been held under stern conditions since his arrest last August. Today's hearing was to have been an examination of those conditions in which he is locked down 22 hours a day in a small cell with his overhead lights never turned off. Prosecutors were prepared to show the bloody results of relaxing the guard around accused terrorists. This New York officer was stabbed in the eye with a pocket comb honed into a stiletto by defendants in the African embassy bombing trial, and prosecutors say Moussaoui is no less dangerous. Moussaoui has had a reputation among lawmen as a hothead since the day he was arrested, and by calling for the destruction of the United States before his trial even begins, he's obviously done nothing to change that. Dan?
Thanks, Jim Stewart. Testimony began today in Pakistan in the trial of 4 alleged killers charged in the kidnapping and murder of Wall Street Journal reporter Daniel Pearl. One witness, a taxi driver, said that on the day Pearl disappeared, he drove the journalist to a Karachi, Pakistan hotel and saw him get into a car with one of the defendants, Ahmed Omar Saeed Sheikh. Saeed spent 5 years in an Indian prison after his arrest in 1994 for kidnapping Westerners. Cardinals from the United States begin 2 days of meetings at the Vatican tomorrow about the church sex abuse scandal, and the meetings are growing in importance to the Holy See. In a change, the Vatican announced today nearly all its top officials will sit down with the Americans, and the Pope will now attend as many of the sessions as he can. CBS's Alan Pizzi is in Rome.
The cardinals will meet in a closed and secretive world of the Vatican, far from prying eyes and ears. But when the American princes of the church arrived in Rome, they were met with a frenzy of attention more suited to celebrities, a role they distinctly do not want.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you.
The man at the center of the storm, Boston's Cardinal Bernard Law, refused to discuss rumors of his possible resignation.
You know, I'm not addressing that issue. I'm here as the Archbishop of Boston.
But speculation and reports abound that it will be on the agenda.
I think anything is a fair topic, and I suspect it will come up, but I'm not sure.
Cardinals usually only gather in groups to elect a new pope or when a new cardinal is installed, and publicly at least they back Cardinal Law.
He was the one who was there when it happened, and he wants to fix it. I say give him a chance.
In spite of being the country with the 3rd largest Catholic population and at 13 the highest number of cardinals outside of Italy, the U.S. is not generally a force in the Catholic Church. But Pope John Paul II has treated the cardinals he created as advisors, and the Americans will be hoping the talks will help restore church credibility at home.
Victims in particular need to hear from the Holy Father and us apology, ask forgiveness, and they need that pastoral spiritual care, and they're looking for that.
That they will get it seems certain. How soon is another matter.
If we don't do something, if we don't come up with an assurance to our people, we're missing a tremendous opportunity, and that would be a great loss to the church.
What is not going to come out of these talks is the kind of quick and decisive action the American public wants and expects. As Vatican sources constantly point out, the church moves at its own pace, and its guidelines are not those of crisis management, but of caution and deliberation. Alan Pizzi, CBS News, Vatican City.
The deepening church scandal has 2 elements: the alleged repeated and widespread abuse of children by priests, and the cover-up involving church leaders and, in some cases, what is supposed to be law enforcement. CBS News correspondent Vince Gonzalez begins a 2-part investigation of this in tonight's Eye on America.
During a daytime patrol of this rundown cemetery in Benicia, California, a police officer was shocked to see his parish priest, Father Jerome Henson, kneeling in front of a boy the officer once coached. The officer just drove away, but according to his report, the priest was committing lewd acts with the 13-year-old. Even though another priest told a detective he had suspicions about Father Henson from past incidents, police apparently never looked into them, and no arrest was made. The church quickly transferred Henson to a parish in Reno, Nevada. That boy, John Jacobs, is now 34 and in prison, where on-camera interviews are forbidden.
I couldn't talk to my parents about it. I couldn't talk to the people in the church about it. You know, they were the ones that covered it up.
A psychologist who examined him said his substance abuse and the start of his law violations occurred in tandem with his victimization by sexual molestation. Jacobs is filing a lawsuit this week. Through his attorney, Father Jerome Henson says the allegations are totally untrue, and he's never molested anyone here or anyplace else. His lawyer also points out that at the time, the 13-year-old boy told police nothing happened.
I was just a kid. I was confused. I was scared. I thought I was going to go to jail.
Henson later returned to a California parish.
We have over 100 children who will be receiving communion for the first time.
He was removed in November because of the allegations. No new accusations against him have surfaced. The church has, at times, blocked police investigations by withholding information about serious crimes.
No child should have to remember her first kiss coming from an adult priest.
Nancy Sloan, now in her late 30s, says high-ranking clergy in Stockton, California, protected Father Oliver O'Grady after he molested her when she was 11.
They told me that there had never been any other allegations against him, any complaints. He was the virtue of priesthood, that I was an isolated incident.
Then in 1984, O'Grady admitted to fondling a boy. The Stockton Diocese told police that was an isolated incident, but they knew it wasn't and kept the truth hidden in a secret file. In it, a written confession and letters of apology to Nancy Sloan's family. A few weeks later, the Bishop of Stockton transferred O'Grady. Many more victims later, O'Grady was finally convicted of child molestation.
They lied. They stonewalled. They told the police in Stockton that they would take care of it. They promoted him. They moved him. Like I said, they gave him new feeding grounds.
The bishop who transferred O'Grady was Roger Mahoney, now leader of the Los Angeles Archdiocese and one of the cardinals summoned to Rome by the Pope. Later this week, we'll report on what some say is the cardinal's pattern of covering up for abusive priests. In Los Angeles, I'm Vince Gonzalez for Eye on America.
The U.S. Supreme Court is revisiting death penalty issues. The justices heard arguments today in a case that could overturn hundreds of death sentences. The question is whether only juries may impose the death penalty, not judges. The court is also mulling more appeal rights for death row inmates who claim they were poorly defended in court. Also today, the justices agreed to rule on the use of federal anti-racketeering laws to prosecute some protesters, such as anti-abortion groups that block access to clinics or tried to intimidate doctors, staffers, and patients. It's the Monday edition of the CBS Evening News, and up next, the Bedlam in Bethlehem. Troubles between Israelis and Palestinians get worse as gunmen go on a rampage of reprisal.
Earlier, we reported on those nuclear-tainted dirty bombs and how intelligence shows they are tops of the terrorist wish list. Tomorrow, Eye on America will tell you what dirty bombs really are, the components that go into them, and whether they can actually be built and used. That and more on the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather.
When Ann and Mike began looking for their dream home, someone else was there to help make it a reality. While Ann took virtual tours on Realtor.com, someone was there to check comparable listings. While Mike was searching for their homeowner's policy, someone was there to preview houses as they came on the market. And when Ann and Mike found their dream, someone else was there to make sure it didn't slip away. Work with someone who worked with you. We're realtors. Real estate is our life.
We do several hundred septic system repairs a year. If your septic system fails, you're going to run into several problems. It will either back up into the yard, into the house. I would recommend you use Rid-X once a month. It is cheaper to maintain your septic system, a lot cheaper.
Working hard or working out, nutrition is important. With Centrum or Centrum Silver, you benefit from what science discovers about how the right multivitamins help unlock energy and strengthen immunity. Centrum and Centrum Silver, always complete from A to Zinc.
Now, the same Caltrate that helps fight bone loss may help your colon, too. In a recent study, Caltrate helped reduce the risk of recurrence of colon polyps, a risk factor for colon cancer. The same Caltrate you take for your bones, now for colon health, too.
You choose to be healthy. You choose to be successful. You choose to give back. You choose to be yourself. The choices you want, the voice you need to make the most out of life. Today's AARP.
The Dirty Moms. Yeah, we're in town tonight, and we want you to sing lead. Yeah!
Now Kraft Easy Mac has 2 new flavors they can't resist: extreme cheese and nacho cheese. Mac to Mac!
When your eyes feel dry, irritated, there's Refresh brand eye drops. First, Refresh relieves and soothes, then forms a lasting shield of protection to keep irritation out and moisture in. #1 doctor-recommended Refresh relieves and protects.
Heartburn?
Yeah. Any of you not hard or chalky? No.
I'm not.
New Maalox Soft Chews.
I'm soft and chewy. Not hard and chalky. Softy.
Try fast new Maalox Soft Chews.
In the Middle East today, U.S. envoy William Burns made no headway in talks with Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat. The goal is to somehow get ceasefire discussions going between Israeli and Palestinian officials. The sticking points and flashpoints are clear. And as CBS's Mark Phillips reports tonight, so is the mounting toll, political and military.
That neither side will commit to a ceasefire was obvious in Bethlehem this evening, where shooting again broke out at the Church of the Nativity. Bethlehem remains a stubborn flashpoint that sums up this stalemate. The Israelis say they won't leave until the Palestinian gunmen inside the basilica give up, and the Palestinians say there can be no ceasefire until the Israelis leave. And in Ramallah, where Yasser Arafat's compound is still surrounded by Israeli armor, there was graphic evidence that their anti-terrorist invasion did not flush out all the gunmen. 3 alleged informers were shot down by Palestinian gunmen in broad daylight. One of them later died. The Israelis left a seething anger and a security vacuum behind as they withdrew from much of the area they'd occupied. And it's no wonder there are no police around. This is what's left of the Palestinian security headquarters on the West Bank. It's been blasted to a ruin. It was from here that this man, Security Chief Jabril Rajoub, tried to reconcile the Israeli demand that he crack down on terrorists with Palestinian frustration over the stalled peace process. He's now discredited by both sides and very bitter.
Now there is a sea of blood and hatred between us and the Israelis, and I don't think that they can repair this situation.
Rajoub was holding 6 members of the Hamas terror group in these cells when the Israelis attacked. They were accused of organizing the suicide bombing at this Jerusalem pizzeria in which 15 people died. The suspects are now in Israeli hands. This building once represented the cooperation, however limited, between the Israelis and the Palestinian security apparatus. Now it's symbolic again, representing the total destruction of whatever trust may have once existed. Buildings can be repaired. Rebuilding any semblance of trust seems impossible to contemplate here. Mark Phillips, CBS News, Ramallah.
Iraq's Saddam Hussein is again trying to play the oil supply weapon. In what he called the name of eventual peace, he called again today for Arab oil producers to back his own Iraqi oil embargo to protest U.S. support for Israel. So far, there's no indication Saddam's latest call is meeting with any more success than his earlier ones. The French are in shock. Some are aghast at the results of the weekend's presidential election. Right-wing leader Jean-Marie Le Pen finished just 3 percentage points behind President Jacques Chirac. The two will meet in a runoff next month. For a second day, thousands filled the streets of Paris to show their distaste for the anti-immigrant stance of Le Pen, who is widely regarded as anti-Semitic. Among other things, he's called the Nazi gas chambers a, quote, detail of history. You're watching the CBS Evening News, and up next, a blizzard of Earth Day arguments over the Bush environmental policy.
Do you know the warning signs of osteoporosis? Unfortunately, there aren't any. It's a silent disease with no symptoms unless a bone breaks. So ask your doctor about a painless bone density test. and if Fosamax is right for you. Fosamax is for postmenopausal women at risk for or with osteoporosis. It's proven to help reverse bone loss. Increases in bone mass were seen as early as 3 months. And Fosamax is the only osteoporosis treatment with a once-weekly tablet. You should not use Fosamax if you have certain disorders of the esophagus, are unable to stand or sit upright for 30 minutes, have severe kidney disease or low blood calcium. Use with caution if you have stomach or digestive problems. Stop taking Fosamax and tell your doctor if you develop new or worsening heartburn, difficult or painful swallowing, or chest pain, because these may be signs of serious upper digestive problems. 1 pill a week can help reverse bone loss and strengthen bone. Discover Fosamax once weekly, proven to help reverse bone loss.
These two women started scrubbing their bathtubs at the same time. The woman on the right used deeper penetrating scrubbing bubbles. The woman on the left is using Tilex. Be done with skunk faster with scrubbing bubbles. They work even harder, so you don't.
I'm Jeff Gianola, Portland Police Chief Mark Croker with an important announcement about his future. Let's switch to Margie Lynch, who's at the Police Bureau headquarters. Margie?
Well, Jeff, Police Chief Mark Croker is just talking now about his decision to apply for the L.A. Police Chief position. Again, he will go for the job in L.A. today. He's just making that announcement. We'll have reaction coming up tonight at 6.
The Chief of Police here in Portland saying he's a candidate for the L.A. job. Margie Lynch on the scene. We'll have much more in just a few minutes on Coin 6 News. Now, back to CBS News.
And getting you where you want to be. That's why we deliver premier service. A whole new level in customer service. A level so superior you won't think of buying or selling your home with anyone else. GMAC Real Estate. Service you deserve. People you trust.
Imagine me and you.
You two were meant for each other. Luscious lobster and succulent shrimp. Together for a limited time and priced at just $12.99. Only at Red Lobster. Go overboard.
In upstate New York today, the air was thick with snow and rhetoric for Earth Day as President Bush talked up his environmental policy. Democrats and some others were quick to respond with criticism. CBS's John Roberts reports this election year policy battle is heating up fast.
It was a snowy photo op in the Adirondacks, staged to polish the president's green credentials this Earth Day and promote his Clear Skies initiative, a proposal President Bush claims will produce cleaner air than the Clean Air Act his father signed into law 12 years ago.
With Clear Skies legislation, America will do more to reduce power plant emissions than ever before in our nation's history.
But environmental groups claim it was more of a snow job, arguing that the Clear Skies proposal to set mandatory limits on power plant emissions and let industry figure out how to reach them would actually allow more pollution than current law. And they released an Earth Day report accusing the president of giving polluters carte blanche in Washington, declaring his the most anti-environment presidential administration ever. Democrats know they can't return the environment to the top-tier status it enjoyed prior to September 11th, but they would love to re-engage the president on issues from clean air to global warming to energy policy. Just look who was out today assailing Mr. Bush for giving in to the special interests.
And he is our president. But he ought to be a little bit more careful about claiming that a majority of the voters endorsed his policy payoff to polluters.
It was the second time in as many days Al Gore hammered his rival for the White House on the environment. The president so far hasn't come out of the woods, writing off the attacks to just election year politics.
That's why I hadn't paid attention to him. The dueling events in New York and Tennessee showcased what Democrats believe could be a potent issue this fall. But Republican pollsters see it quite differently, telling CBS News today the environment doesn't even register on the list of voters' top priorities. Dan?
Live at the White House, John Roberts. Some southern Illinois neighborhoods look like a war zone today after heavy storms and a tornado strafed the area. The twister caused at least one death yesterday, the first U.S. tornado fatality of the season. Dozens of other people were hurt as the Illinois storms wrecked homes and tore the tops off trees. Actor Robert Blake, who played a cop on TV a long time ago, was arraigned today on murder charges. Blake pleaded not guilty in the murder of his wife, Bonnie Lee Bakley. Prosecutors say Blake shot his wife with a 9mm handgun as she sat in his car outside a restaurant last May. If convicted, Blake could get the death penalty.
The promotion, a new title, a bigger paycheck, better days ahead. Your hard work paid off, and so did that extra confidence from getting rid of your gray hair with Just for Men hair color. Its vitamin formula rejuvenates your hair and energizes you with a natural look in 5 easy minutes. When you feel confident, it shows. Just for Men, the Rejuvenator.
Heartburn?
Yeah. Any of you not hard or chalky? No.
I'm not.
You may like soft chews.
I'm soft and chewy. Not hard and chalky.
Softy. Try fast new Maalox Soft Chews.
Over the years, I've learned that when something works, you stick with it. There you go. After bypass surgery a few years ago, I needed to lower my cholesterol. My doctor told me about Zocor. He said Zocor, along with a healthy diet and exercise, could really lower my cholesterol.
Okay, let's do it again.
Taking Zocor every day has kept my cholesterol where it should be and significantly reduces the risk of heart attack among people with high cholesterol and heart disease. That's something to feel good about.
Zocor is a prescription medication and is not for everyone, including women who are nursing, pregnant, or may become pregnant, or people with liver problems. Your doctor may do blood tests to check for liver problems because serious side effects can result. Tell your doctor about any muscle pain or weakness you experience and about any medicines you are taking.
Good job! When diet and exercise aren't enough, ask your doctor about Zocor. Take care of yourself. It's your future. Be there.
There's nothing like a great night's sleep. I can get an early start in the morning and go out and do something just for me.
Tylenol PM stops your nighttime pain and helps you sleep, so you can wake up refreshed.
It's a really good feeling.
Around here, my kids will eat almost anything if it's topped with cheese. The folks at Kraft knew that. They've created a bunch of new ranch dressings with real Kraft cheese.
Oh, Mama.
Like I said, around here, the dressing is Kraft.
Ziploc containers, test number 3. With our divided containers, a sandwich, salad, and brownie doesn't turn into a brownie salad sandwich. Ziploc, all you ever wanted in a container.
What's the difference running a red light and stealing someone's ID? Apparently nothing. Why some criminals will just be getting off with a citation. That's 6.
We invite you to join us for the CBS Evening News all this week. Tomorrow, for the latest on the Catholic Church scandal, we're including allegations of a cover-up in Los Angeles. We're continuing to investigate that. More about those so-called dirty bombs and how much of a threat they are to the U.S. We'll have that tomorrow. Plus, later in the week, Wall Street analysts hyping stocks they know are no good. The government is investigating. So is CBS News. We end tonight with some rare sights from the animal kingdom. Get a load of this South African shark from the front end. It's a megamouth, a type of shark rarely seen anywhere. This one's a 12-footer weighing about 600 pounds. The good news, the megamouth is not a people eater, so they say. Its diet is said to consist mostly of tiny plankton. And watch closely now, and you'll see one lucky dog. The mixed breed terrier highlighted on the deck of this Indonesian tanker was stranded at sea several weeks ago when the crew abandoned ship during a fire. The U.S. Coast Guard came across the floating wreck and the dog, which was then rescued by a fishing vessel headed for Hawaii. You lucky dog. Dan Rather reporting for the CBS Evening News. Good night.
For news 24 hours a day, CBS.com on the Internet and on our interactive partner, America Online, at keyword CBS News.
This is CBS.
Now, live from Coin Center, this is Coin 6 News at 6.
I want the citizens of Portland to know that I am going to be a candidate for the position of Chief of Police of Los Angeles. I told the mayor today at 3:30 that I intend to seek this position.
That statement made just moments ago. You heard Portland Police Chief Mark Croker looking ahead to his future. A future now that may not, Karen, include the Rose City. And welcome to the news at 6 o'clock, everyone. I'm Jeff Giannola.
And I'm Karen Adams. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Police Chief Mark Croker may or may not be heading to L.A., but today he made it clear that's where he'd like to go.